Internet. Welcome to the very first recording of Nerd Commies. Woo! Woo! You have me here. My name's Ivan. And we have our special guest, who is going to be our regular guest. Woo! He is technically our co-host.
Co-host Kev? Wow, that's Kev. Even better. Co-host Kev.
Co-host Kev.
I can't even make that up anymore.
No, it's true. You are locked in now as co-host Kev. So, Ivan and Kev here today with the Nerd Commies podcast. It's our very first recording. We're going to just kind of bring you up on all the greatest culture,
Nerd culture.
Nerd culture, enterprise. I know a lot of people don't like that word nerd culture, though. It's weird. I mean, I have a hard time. I try not to overuse the word nerd too much.
Me too.
But we are going to try to cover all the greatest things that are out there that we love.
Right? Movies,
video games, pen and paper games.
They're all games.
I want
to do a little music too.
Some music would be great. Anything that's out there that we love, we'll share it out there, and hopefully you like it too. And if you take the opportunity to listen to us more, then we'll be around. If anything, just to listen to our sexy, sexy voices,
of course,
broadcasting to you every single month.
Oh yeah, in the car, at home,
and when you're driving, because you're bored of all your other ones, right? So
that's when I listen to podcasting the most. Is when I'm driving.
In the commute, right?
Oh, the LA commute, man.
Hell yeah, it's stupid. All right, so first of all, why Nerd Commies? Why did we pick the name Nerd Commies?
Because you're red. Because Ivan's red.
Because I'm a pinko, right? Is that what it's at?
No, I think we decided on the commies because we want to bring nerd culture to all.
To the people, right?
Mm-hmm, the people.
That's what it is. We are in many ways, we feel like something that you love, and it's being a part of everything, And no one is exempt from being a nerd. You can be, as long as you're obsessed with something and you drive yourself hard into the things that you love,
and you're passionate,
you're passionate about it. Yeah, exactly. That's the key word there. You can be a nerd, and it's a wide ocean out there of great content and experiences and stuff that is cool. And I don't see any reason for it to be limited in the quote unquote subculture that is being created nowadays.
Do you think nerds are a subculture at this point in 2013?
2013, it's still technically a subculture. I would say so. There's still lots of people out there who don't have the dedication, drive, and passion that I would say that we've put ourselves into necessarily, but at the same time too, it is inappropriate to exclude people based on their interest, even if that interest is just only budding, Yeah. And that way I say, let's bring nerds to everybody. We are of the people and for the people, and we will bring I'll just say it. We'll bring nerd culture to the people.
Wow, using that word that you don't like.
I'm such a hypocrite.
It's going to be the death of you.
Oh, man. All right. Well, whatever. So that's our thing. We're Nerd Commies, and we want to make sure that we bring the love to all the folks. So, but you, sir, Kev, co-host Kev.
What's up?
You've got your now streaming that you want to try to start up here.
Now streaming!
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just make your own theme song.
Yeah, every day.
So, by the way, hold on. Before we get into it, I forgot. Tell me why you should talk to us about now streaming. Why are you so qualified to do this?
Oh, man. There are. Okay, see, I'm a nerd about movies. That's what I'm a nerd about.
So you're
among
big
other
in
things,
movies.
But mainly I'm a nerd about movies. So now streaming is not for the people who like the newest movies out. It's not for the people who go to Redbox, but for the people who are sitting at home, have access to the internet. They want to just, at a Friday night, Saturday night, even a Tuesday night after work, they go home, they want to put on something, but they don't have a DVD.
So it's for all the people who have streaming out there, who have gone through all of their regular stuff that they're familiar with anyway, and are looking for something new out there that they might not know about.
Right, yeah. And usually my sources are Netflix, the new Redbox streaming online. Yeah. I currently got into the beta. I think last week.
Sure, because there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't make it to the theaters or even the big box releases.
Yeah.
But it still goes straight to Netflix, or it still goes straight to other stuff. The way that movies used to go direct to video.
Yeah, that's a lost word. That's a lost phrase, actually.
Yeah, direct to video. So now it's direct to streaming.
All right. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the cool stuff you've seen on Now streaming.
Death Race 3.
Yeah.
So that is a spectacular film.
Death Race 3 Inferno?
Inferno. That's what it's called.
Okay. I've seen that on Netflix.
Oh, that's on Netflix. I would give it like I'm going to have to come up with a rating system.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But for right now, I'm going to use 1 through 10 because that's easiest and
Why
everyone's
not?
familiar with that.
That's fair.
So, and I mind you, when I judge films...
Because at the end of the day, like, we're not judging if these are necessarily good films of their own right. If what you told me earlier is correct, the thing that you liked about Death Race is the fact that it just accepts what it is, right?
Right, yeah. The thing about Death Race, it knows, from the original Death Race...
series.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s.
80s, yeah. Which is a great film, and I suggest everyone, no matter whether you like it or not, watch it, because it's... Oh, man. If you like tits, you got tits. If you like action, you got action. If you like drama, you got drama.
And of course, cars blowing up everywhere.
If you love cars, you got it. If you like makeup, if you're... What's that magazine?
Fangora.
Yeah, if you like... Oh, man. Dude's face, perfect. And think about it. It's in the 80s, so it's not...
Perfect if you consider messed up as hell.
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
Perfect.
So, okay, I digress. Now we have, Death Race and number 2, and then now you have 3, Inferno.
Okay.
So it's definitely a good one to check out. I would say it's like an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Very entertaining.
Okay.
It doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows its origins. It keeps to those origins, and it's a fun ride, man.
Okay.
Fun ride.
So you're saying the reason it's good is that just because it accepts what it is.
Yeah. The filmmakers know, the actors know, the producers know, everyone knows what they're making.
So just explosions, gunshots.
It's fun.
I haven't seen it, to be honest with you.
So I would compare it to a lower B grade of Expendables.
No, I was going to launch into that. It's like,
Okay.
well, how does this film compare to something like The Expendables or Expendables 2, which are movies I love?
Right.
Because of that same reason.
Right.
It's a completely an 80s action film that felt like it was remade for like 2012.
Right.
So
right.
how does that like compare?
Expendables has a lot of big stars on this. Death Race 3 doesn't have so much.
Okay.
The action, I think they equal each other.
You
or they
consider
rival.
Dolph Lundgren a huge star?
Yes. I consider Jet Li a huge star. Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis,
Stallone, obviously.
Yeah, come on, obviously.
All right.
I mean, he's the one who put the whole project together.
All right.
Death Race 3.
Just no names.
No names. There's Vegan Rames, which I don't think is A-lister, but is definitely a name, but more on the B side. And then I think Luke Gloss, I think his name is.
Luke Gloss. Okay,
yeah,
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, no one knows, but I think he was.
But that's the point, right?
Right.
No one knows who he is.
Right, exactly. And then it kind of takes away from the film if you have a big star from it, even though I think they could have packaged a big star with it, but I don't think that many people would have taken it seriously.
All right, fair enough. So this is what can we expect from Death Race 3 Inferno?
You can expect explosions, hot chicks, more explosions, makeup, and a cool ass mask. If you're a fan of masks, their mask is off the hook.
Guys out there, if you're looking into masks or getting some inspirations for masks, I guess Death Race 3 Inferno.
It rivals. The look rivals Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's in cool factor of looking.
Oh, okay.
Not really in power, because obviously there's no powers with this mask.
That's funny, though, because I haven't heard that movie thrown around since, years.
Yeah.
That was like the beginning of CG craziness.
That was a great film, man. Even today, if you watch it, it still holds up.
It still holds? That and Ace Ventura, though that didn't have CG in it.
Ace Ventura's close. I'm pointing at my heart right now, but it's very close.
It's close there. That opening scene in the first film still cracks me up to this day. We're so off topic.
Yeah, I know.
I absolutely love that opening when he's just kicking the box everywhere. It just shatters like how much can he? The point of the bit was that not only is he destroying the parcel, but how bad can it get by the time he gets to that front door?
My favorite scene is, of course, a classic. Are we talking Ace Ventura when nature calls?
I'm talking about the first film opening scene.
Okay.
Pet Detective.
Pet Detective.
I know which scene you're gonna. If I was a betting man, I know which one you talking about right now in When Nature Calls.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna eat your words right now because the best scene that I love is when Jim Carrey gets shots with the darts. Where he's running through the
Yeah, I'm eating
forest.
my words right now.
Yeah, because everyone says the one where he's coming out the rhino's butthole.
It's always everyone's favorite scene.
But no, I like because you can really see in Jim Carrey that the
physical acting.
Yes, physical acting and how he's like Buster Keaton back in the day. Using that physical comedy to make us laugh without saying. I mean, his noises are pretty hilarious.
Yeah. But the point was, it's more about the physical acting and how it over translated to what he was doing. Yeah. So okay. Well, you made me. I'm glad I didn't put money on that.
Right. That's why I had to stop you.
All right, let's move on. We wanted to talk a little bit. We're a little behind on this. We understand.
Yeah.
Although some articles are just getting out about it now. It's like CES, right?
Ooh, yeah.
So you pretty much watched it. You pretty much watched CES from what it was, and I was actually at CES.
Yeah, lucky bastard.
Let's talk about our experiences a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to talk about mine. Mine was more a home experience, probably more than
actually like most of the population. Because only so many people can go to CES, considering it's a trade show.
Yeah, exactly. So I got in there. I know I'm a tech geek also. I follow everything tech also. So I realized CES is coming up through CNET, and I noticed they had a live broadcast for each of the on the floor interviews, on even the conferences.
Sure.
They would show them live. And even if you didn't catch them live, you can just rewind it back on their toolbar and watch the whole thing, and even skip over some of the commercials. I say commercials like quote unquote because some of them are terrible, some of them are just blank screens with their logo on it.
Got it. I like a lot of live coverage places can do. So
it was good.
So then how was CNET's whole streaming?
Theirs was pretty legit, man. I've lately been watching a lot of streaming event websites or things being covered, like E3 last year was covered a bunch, and it was top notch, man. Top notch.
Okay. So what was some highlights as far as what did CNET?
Okay, so the highlights and I loved, because I only found that show the other day. They have a show called oh man, I forgot by now. Where they take like an iPhone or an iPad and they just drop it or break it. And it started off like with a YouTube sensation. Where people would take these.
Will it blend?
Yeah, exactly. So they would take it and put it in the oven. So they had their live segment with their two hosts, and they drop an iPad from like a 7-foot ladder maybe, and see what would break and what would survive. So I thought that was nice. If you're at the conference, you can probably enjoy that segment, but when you're at home, you can still definitely enjoy that, because you're like, ooh, don't do it.
That's $700 and down.
And down. But what the great thing about that program is that after they dropped the item, they would give it away. They had a raffle, and they gave those. Yeah. I mean, no, even if it didn't.
Oh, even if it didn't.
Because there's a lot of techs out there who just
take it apart, use all the rare earth minerals inside of it to build whatever the hell they wanted. No, I get it.
Yeah.
So what was some of the booths that they talked about that they particularly enjoyed? Because that's the whole point of CES is the new tech, though, right?
Yeah, but they like a couple days later, they have an edited video that will,
oh, sure,
the most popular stuff. A lot of the stuff they covered was more health stuff, like you can hook up a wristband to your wrist, and it'll tell you it's connected to your phone.
I saw that booth. That one wasn't very far away from where I was working. It was like a full health monitor that you put on your wrist, but it uploads the data to your iPhone.
Did you get to try it out at all?
No, I didn't. I saw their presentation. They had a guy doing like the speed jump roping, and they were showing data live.
Okay.
Like, because again, he'd hook it up via his wrist, and then I think it would Bluetooth, if I remember correctly, to his phone to give him live readouts of his vitals.
Wow,
as they would say.
That's crazy, man. What was your experience like? You went there.
No, I went there, but to be honest, I worked it.
Okay.
So I was at a booth most of the time. I only got to see 2 or 3 of the major booths while I was there. Sphero was right next to me. I don't know if you've heard of Sphero.
No.
It's actually a toy. It's a Bluetooth toy that you do through your tablet, your phone, or whatever. It's got a gyro in it.
Oh, it's with like the helicopters?
Yeah, but it's a ball.
Oh,
it's a ball that rotates around, and they have a bunch of VR, little decorations that they do with it. And it's basically, they say it's Sphero, a new way to play.
Okay.
So it's using like AR and alternate reality, by the way. But that was one that just stuck out because it was close to me. But the 2 big things that I heard at CES that were big news, and I did get some insight on both of them, was the Sony 4K TVs, which are huge. And the 3D printing. those were like the two major buzzwords at CES.
Yeah, yeah.
For the time. And so, did you get to see anything about the Sony 4Ks?
Yeah, a little bit at the Sony conference. Yeah, I probably saw a couple seconds, but I didn't see any on the 3D.
The 3D printing.
Yeah.
So it's a huge. So, well, what do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about 4K because
Okay.
I'm more familiar with 4K.
So the 4K. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like it doesn't make a big difference.
Really? I mean, you the one who saw it in person. I didn't get to see it in person.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Here's the thing: it's more about the frame rate than it is about the actual resolution, because it's scanning at so many frames a second versus what it is, and they're doing it mostly to showcase 48p.
Right.
So it's double what a standard film rate is.
Right, because the standard rate is, for people who don't know, is 24.
Yeah,
frames
so
per second.
it's double, and it did look like. The wild part was that it did look like you were actually watching somebody more so than it would be if you were like seeing them with your own eyes. But my thing is that human perception is inherently imperfect.
Right.
We don't see in zeros and ones.
No.
I mean, we do actually have imperfections in our own vision, and in storytelling, it's the imperfections that I think make it human.
Right.
So especially in movies, shooting at 48p is it's now superhuman. The amount of perception that we have.
But isn't that some of our goals, man, as nerds? Is to be superhuman?
Yeah, but as soon as I'm able to see in 48p, or be able to tell the difference. I mean, I guess in some level, like maybe the generation after us might be able to notice the difference, the same way that we obviously see a difference between monochrome film and what we have now, or even old 480 versus what we get, because pretty much everyone has an HD TV in their home nowadays. Whether they're 720 or 1080,
right? Where
everyone's kind of seeing stuff in high def. But I don't like, and I'll tell you one of the realizations I had from this is that I got the Alien quadrilogy on Blu-ray.
Right.
Totally excited to see the first Alien film in Blu-ray. I sat it down, put it in my PS3, and I was like, all right, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see the original Alien in high def, because they rescanned it. And it was like watching the film, but instead of watching the film, I was seeing a tour of the set.
Whoa. I mean, you watched the extras, the specials?
No,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
The film. Watching the film itself was like watching a tour of the set, because it was so crisp, such high quality, so perfect that I could see how crappy that set was.
We were saying that, though, a couple years ago, or 5-10 years ago, when we were transitioning from standard definition to high definition. We made all these jokes like we can see the pores on people's faces. Yeah,
but still, it was like the whole point of the original Alien film was that there was a certain gritty nature to the medium that made it feel like you weren't safe. That was the thriller element of it. It was unprotected. Everything looked raw, But now it was so clean that it removed all of that scary element to it, and that I don't think that was the cinematographer's choice.
Of course not.
To see that done, because he obviously saw it through the camera lens, but knew it would be. In the processing, it would be darker. It wouldn't translate to a degree. And instead of seeing the alien for this terrifying creature in the shadows, it now clearly looks like a man in a trash bag. So, and that just broke my heart.
Right.
Broke my heart.
Well, did you continue with the series, though?
Well, yeah, I mean, I went through it, and, some of the other ones weren't nearly as bad, but it was still super clear that it did not benefit the film having a higher resolution in its frame. But I don't know. I'm personally, I think it'll be fine when new films are shot for it.
Yeah.
Sure, it's like, okay, you shoot in 4K, but I still don't think my eye is going to care. Did you see Hobbit at 48p?
No, I didn't. I purposely saw it at standard.
Standard.
Frames
I did
per
the
second.
same. It was a mistake for me to see it in 3D.
Really?
It made it.
I didn't
look,
see it in 3D, but
it made it look like it was animated characters. Like it didn't. The 3D. I know they shot it in 3D, but it made it look like it was an animated film versus it being a live action.
epic.
You know. So I'm probably, and I saw it again in standard, and it was fine, but I haven't seen it in 48, and I don't know how it would translate. So.
Right.
Well, anyway, let's move on to the 3D printing, because that is an interesting element, and it is something I'm thinking about.
Yeah. 3D. Okay, so I am very familiar with 3D, but
3D printing.
3D printing for but I didn't see anything. So what did you see on 3D
Okay,
printing?
so there was one major company there that was showcasing, 3D printers, and ironically, talking to the gentleman there, a good 60 to 70% their gross income is actually through commercial deals, but they're getting all of their buzz right now through a lot of the residential, just consumer-driven products. People can go and buy a 16-inch by 16-inch 3D printer that has enough material inside of it for 5 little doodads.
Okay, so if you're not too familiar with 3D printing and you think we're talking about a photograph that's 3D without glasses,
no,
or with
it is printing a sculpture. It is putting in a CAD or putting in a actual 3D model on, say, Maya or something, and it's printing out that model in a physical format.
Just like when you go to LA Zoo and you put your quarter into the machine and you get a waxed rhinoceros out.
I've never done that at the LA Zoo.
Come on, man. You live in LA and you never went to LA Zoo.
No, I go to the LA Zoo and I got my little pennies punched, then I have the weights on them and punch the pennies in the design, but I never got a little wax rhino.
Oh, come on, man. I think I still have mine. All right. I'll go find it.
Sure. Okay. LA Zoo wax rhino. Got it. But the interesting thing is that there's a lot of people talking about this as it is the beginning of the future.
It is, man. It is.
I believe what they're saying. And one of the other companies that was there too was actually a third-party company that was a server that housed blueprints.
Wow.
So different blueprints for different designs, whether it be certain art pieces, figures, models, miniatures. Some of them were even gears, like some mechanical pieces.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because the concept of 3D printing is essentially that as long as you have the materials, you can print whatever you want. So instead of having to go down, say, a gear breaks inside of your transmission, right? And you don't want to go to AutoZone to get your specialized, 2000 or what is it, 1986 Trans Am. And because it's impossible to find that part because nobody makes it nowadays.
Right, it's too expensive.
You go and download the schematic for that piece. You load in your mixture of the liquid metal that is part of the 3D printing set, and you print out that exact gear to replace it. That's on its most basic concept, but a lot of people are even, and it was funny too. I heard a rumor. I don't know if this was actually true or not, but I heard Congress was there too.
Whoa!
Because they wanted to approach and have a discussion with the 3D printing people because someone actually put together an assault rifle.
Whoa, man!
Via a 3D printer, they printed it out piece by piece.
But what material was it? Was it actual metal?
Metal and plastic.
Holy smoke! So you can probably, theoretically, almost fire this weapon.
Theoretically. And that's the thing is I don't know. I don't know if it was an actual working gun or not. But the concept alone of being able to print out something like a firearm piece by piece and putting it together in your own home unregulated, obviously, red flagged them a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean I imagine so, but I think every new technology has its good and its bad.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of good that can come from it.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, when we terraform,
that is the question.
There is no import exports between planets. We can't ship over a bunch of units of whatever from China over to Mars. No, it's going to have to be having the raw materials, and instead of creating a factory, it can be as simple as using these 3D printers, having the raw minerals there, and printing out a transport vehicle. And all you'll need is materials as an engineer and the schematic. It's huge. It's absolutely huge, the concept behind 3D printing right now.
Did you see anything printed out while you were there?
I saw stuff that was already printed out.
Okay,
yes.
how did it look? Did you get to touch anything?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So what was the maybe something that you thought was really great?
So the big one for me was they actually had a clay.
Okay.
Like they did an actual mixture of clay and they printed out like terracotta artwork.
Wow.
Like stuff that, would be something that you would see in like maybe an import store or like even a museum if it looked older.
Yeah.
But the point is it was like a piece of pottery that was printed out layer by layer, because that's how 3D printers work.
Yeah, yeah.
With like a clay format, and all you had to do, he said, is that once it's printed out, is you put a glaze over it and bake it, and it's done.
Wow.
And that was it. That was just wild to me. They had some miniatures, some figures that were incredibly
like G.I. Joe,
detailed.
or old-fashioned G.I. Joes?
Yeah, old-fashioned G.I. Joe type. The 3D printer guy told me that one of their big commercial deals is that they were actually printing out on site for people who were like sponsors for Miss USA.
Wow.
And they were scanning, because that was the technology they wanted. They were scanning the figures of these models and printing out their own Barbie dolls.
Wow. So so say we're at Miss Universe.
Yeah.
And contestant 1, she steps into the scanner. They scan her. She goes up and does her performance, and she comes back, and there's a Barbie of her.
There's a Barbie of her.
Oh my god.
And it's an exact replica.
Oh my god.
It's not like it was a sculptor who like took time to try to like match it to her or put together pieces. No, it's an exact fabricated piece of her.
Oh.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild.
And I'm looking forward to it because I want one. How much are they? How much are they?
I don't know.
Oh man, you didn't even ask. Come on.
Yeah, but that's right now. There's not a lot of use to it because technically, right now, it is probably more convenient to go and get something that's factory produced if it's available. And getting the schematics are kind of a pain in the ass because it's all open source, so it's just everywhere right now. It's not really regulated at all, but the greater our distances are between these factories of production and us, the more viable this technology is going to be in our world.
Do you think we're going to start out with kind of like almost like a Redbox deal, or more like a Kmart deal, or more just in our homes?
Dude, there is a branch of sci-fi that's just called Transhumanity, the Singularity, that explores all of this crap. And the theories are endless, I don't know if you're familiar with a role-playing game called Eclipse Phase.
No. But
they have essentially a machine in there called a Cornicopia machine, which is exactly, it's a fabricator just like in Star Trek, but it's also a 3D printer because it just takes raw materials and it makes whatever you want and prints it out.
Wow.
And they explore, more importantly, how that one affects the economy of supply and demand based on the needs of that planet, whether that planet's owned by a hypercorp, a corporation, or just by private enterprise. What does the cornucopia have on it, and does it have restrictions? How easy is those restrictions to bypass? And frankly, what is available in there? Because most of the times, if you load in a schematic for your new designer chair, can you print out one? Can you print out as many as you want? Like, what is your credit, so to speak, for it? And in a world where all of your primal basic needs are met, as far as housing, furniture, and food goes, how do you quantify value?
Right. Wow.
Like they do it based on the reputation, the skills of individuals. But
of what kind of individual? What do you mean? Because when I hear skills of individual, that I automatically tie that into like a work kind of thing.
I mean, so Kevin, so if you don't go and make a salary because technically money to you is worthless, since you can go down to the cornucopia machine and get your dinner and get the latest new 3D television because you can just print it out in the cornucopia machine, then why do you work?
But what's the credits to get the dinner or the television?
But that's the point, is that if it's a new economy system on some of these planets, you don't pay anything.
Right.
It's just provided for you. So how do you quantify worth because you don't work to buy the things anymore. You know, how you quantify your living space is what can you bring to the table,
Right.
to what is your reputation, as they say.
Oh, I see.
What is your reputation among the corporation that maybe, runs the planet, or the people, the different private enterprises that are part of what makes up the facilities in general?
Wow.
What is your reputation, and how do you use that to get what you want?
So what game is this?
Eclipse Phase. It's a
Eclipse
role-playing
Phase.
game.
Okay.
It's a pen and paper role-playing game.
Pen and paper. Okay.
Yeah, old
All right.
school.
Okay.
So,
Is this still? Are they still running?
it's in
these
circulation.
Games?
Yeah. No,
Okay,
actually,
good.
I'm running a campaign of it right now
Holy
too.
smokes! Okay.
So I love it. It's one of my. It is. System's a little crunchy.
Okay.
But we're going way off topic, because
Yeah.
the whole point is that there is a whole run of fiction out there that just talks about the singularity and transhumanity. And
You're gonna have to
all
hook
that
me up
stuff.
with some of this, man. You enlighten me. A lot of these talks, you enlighten me on role playing, because I'm not too familiar with it. A friend of mine who used to play, he introduced me to it, but I never got.
It's okay.
to
Movies
actually,
the same way with me, man. Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't watch nearly as much TV and movies as I could.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think we should just talk about maybe one of the reasons why everyone is even listening to us today. Because I don't know if I mentioned when we talked about this at the beginning of the show, but
I don't think we did.
I am technically. It's not even technically. I am a contestant on TBS's King of the Nerds.
King of the Nerds.
King of the Nerds. This actually was funny, because doing this whole thing kind of inspired me to sit down and actually just talk about things that I love, because people are always asking me now.
Right.
You know,
You got those Twitter followers, man, asking you things.
it's really surreal for me.
Yeah.
Because I've always liked people. I've always been a people person.
You are a people person. That's for sure.
I've always enjoyed the company of other humans, but I've never really thought about how that something like this would apply in my life, now that people are reaching out and asking, frankly, more questions than I can answer. That's a new one for me.
Really?
You know?
What? Okay. So, I mean, later on, I want to do like a Twitter thing.
Yeah.
Where you answer some Twitter questions. So people who do listen, submit questions, and
Sure.
you can answer them for them. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have questions, and you might not get to them in your personal life or your off time.
That's fine, but we can do some live talk as well too.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
And
The
that's
Google Plus Hangout thing you want.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that right now, just because of the way TBS is laid out, there's restrictions to what I can discuss. And I can't talk about future episodes, which is a duh.
Spoiler
Alert. And spoiler alert, NDA prevents me from doing all that, but I can always talk about what we did talk about as well too. And of course, it's just a fact out there that I am part of the show.
Right, right.
So, you talk to me a little bit, because have you seen it yet?
I have not. I am embarrassed. I watch a lot of television and movies, but I haven't seen your show. And my main reason for not watching it yet is because, number one, I know you in real life, and
Sure.
I worked with you in the past and currently. So I see you as a whole person, or as much as a person I can see.
And you feel like reality shows?
Yeah,
don't...
because I'm not a fan of reality shows. I
Okay.
watch one reality show, and that's because it's my guilty pleasure. It's my, that's
Okay,
me.
what is it?
It's Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
Okay. I can't get enough of Ramsay and just him yelling at folks. I was a cook at one time.
Okay.
So I really identify
But you
with
do
being in the
watch
kitchen.
reality shows, is what I'm getting from this.
Not really.
So,
not really.
but you watch Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
I mean, that's a reality show. I don't watch reality shows.
That's fine. I don't watch reality shows either.
Yeah.
In fact, they usually make me really uncomfortable.
Right, me too.
But now I'm in one.
Well, that's different. I
So-
mean, that's the only reason I'm considering watching this one.
Sure.
But the only reason, that's one of the reasons, is you're in it. I mean, you're in it, and me being, I wouldn't call myself a nerd. I've been called a hip nerd.
Okay.
Let me just put it that way. I don't know what that means.
That sounds
but-
like crap.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
it sounds like.
I feel like someone was just complimenting to compliment me.
Sure.
Creatively, but I am a creative nerd. I consider myself a creative nerd because I was
Okay.
thinking this over the past few days. I'm very creative and I'm very nerdy, and I really take that as a VJ, a visual jockey. Some people call it, or visualist. I like to call myself an artist, in which I can take my creative side and my tech side and mash them together.
Okay.
And so that's primarily what I love to do. other than talking podcast with Ivan.
Sure.
So
which is always the highest form of flattery, right? So, but no, that's, I mean, it's a good point, being creative and mashing them together. So then why does this show not appeal to you then?
Because I feel like it's being me. I've been stereotyped a lot in my lifetime, and I feel like this show is not exploitation, but definitely showing the mainstream public what a quote unquote nerd is. Not notifying and not really telling all sides of it, because you're a fire breather.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people would think that's nerdy, right? But that is a nerdy quality of yourself.
But I still got to do fire on the show.
Right, because okay, all right, I see your point.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I understand where you're coming from,
right.
And I think a lot of people share your attitude. Like, I'm not belittling it at all. I agree that I think a lot of people feel like this is potentially an exploitation thing, that, you know, they're just making fun of nerds, that they're putting us into categories. But you know, to be completely upfront with you, I think if that was really it, and I felt in my heart of hearts, if that was what I was signing myself into, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But, you know, when Robert Carradine and Bobby Curtis all came up, and Booger and Stolnick from Revenge of the Nerds, you know, they just, the way they pitched it, it's so much like a celebration.
Okay.
You know, and even Penny Arcade did an article on it, like I think it was even today, honestly, and you know, and I loved it. I couldn't have even said it better, really, if I had to explain it. Is that in their opinion, stuff like Big Bang Theory, being, and it was Gabriel saying this. He said, "Being me is something to be laughed at,
right?
But in King of the Nerds, being me is the only way to win,
right?
You know, so." What all we're trying to say, and I do believe this. This isn't just because I feel like this is a part of the show. This is what I am. Just you know, support me and me being on King of the Nerds. But it's like, this is an opportunity for us to just say, hey, here's who we are. This is what we're doing. We love doing this. You know, here we are. Like, suck it up. You know?
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give it a shot.
It is what it is, and honestly, if you watch the first episode and it still feels like crap to you, then that's cool.
I mean, to be fair, I gave it a chance. Well, not a fair chance, but a chance in general. I went to Sidereel and I clicked on the first episode, and I think, you know, about 2 seconds in, when the African American girl came out, and then her head popped up with the, you know,
with the bar underneath,
yeah,
the talking head.
Yeah, I just cut it off right then and there, because
yeah, so that's not very far into it.
Yeah, that's not fair. But it's not a fair chance.
And I get it. It's like, you know, you probably just saw a reality television show done.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it was. I think I watched, you know, back in the day.
But the point is that if you're going to say that this is an exploitation of nerds,
I didn't say it was an exploitation of nerds. I think it's one more show to show the mainstream people what a nerd is supposed to be.
I get that, but at the same time, you know, I would disagree in like what a nerd is supposed to be. I think it's more of a this is what it can be.
Okay.
This is what it could be, and on top of that, we're opening up the doors for more stuff to be made. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with this, and trust me, I feel very sympathetic towards people who feel like that the thing that they've coveted and loved, that they've been essentially like holding close to their chest for years, is being ripped away from them,
right,
in many ways that they feel like. But, you know, we didn't get an Avengers until Marvel essentially got partnered with Disney,
right,
you know, and we didn't get a lot of awesome things until there was enough of an appeal for it to be awesome, you know? Like comics, when comics were just a niche environment, they were cool, but they're nothing compared to what they are now.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't even consider comics cool at this point. I think a lot of the people who love the superheroes that we see on the big screen, not necessarily saw the comics. They've watched the television show, the animated series.
Sure.
Because I'm not a big comic book guy, but I know Batman because of Batman the animated series. When I was growing up, I loved that show. That was the best animated show I've ever seen, besides what was
Animaniacs, right?
Yeah. Wow. We know each other very well. So yeah. Other than that, that is pretty much the best animated show I've ever seen. And of course, I saw the Batman of Adam West, but that's not what attracted to me. It's not the funny suits. It was that serious overtone. And so I think a lot of mainstream people see Captain America or
but there's still
Fantastic
that
Four.
character had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And more importantly, that the comics that were made back in the 50s, they didn't have the production value or the writer power behind it.
No, man. Did you see the original Hulk?
Yeah, I know. So that's the thing is that with more interest comes more money, becomes more responsibility.
Right.
You know, and the larger pool of people to criticize it, the more refined it becomes as the generations move onward in it. Because more people are like, okay, this is what I loved about Captain America at this point, but this is what I hated about Captain America.
And we'll do that a lot on this show.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, being a nerd is about having opinions.
Right.
It's about having opinions and about expressing them, you know? And that's why I think it's perfect that you and I came on this together. Like, you didn't really have a great opinion about the show.
Right.
You know? And even if I wasn't a part of the show, I felt like I had a strong opinion about it because I felt like its message was, hey, instead of being a bunch of nerds, yuck, you know, putting tape on our glasses, is we're just having a good time, Kev.
Yeah. It looks like it. It looks like it from the previews and all that.
And you know, publicity is what publicity is, but I think the show speaks for itself.
Okay, so. I'll give it a little gander.
And it's weird, but too, because like they brought us on for like Smosh. You know, I was on an interview with Joshua Ovenshire, Jovenshire, as some people might know him. I just call him the Ovenshire because I didn't know him as the Smosh, you know, clever media guy. He's a big YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
You know,
okay.
So, but you know, we clicked right off the bat, and so he asked me and a couple of other contestants to come on to one of his shows and talk about it. And the top comments that have been getting on that video have been about like how I look like another YouTuber. And even before, when they were doing my bio videos, they said I looked like a different YouTuber. So I've actually just been laughing my butt off because like all the comments have been about like I either look like Tobuscus on YouTube, or I look like Lasercorn, I guess. Which, you know, I saw photos of him and I was like, okay, well, I guess.
Oh man, you're gonna have to show me this.
All right. And they said I look like an elder Lasercorn with a beard, you know. And I'm like, okay. I guess people like to make comparisons because that is what, you know, helps them categorize. But
yeah, we definitely do.
But sure, okay. Yes.
So you're admitting you look like him?
No, I have no idea. Like I looked like him, and I guess we have. So I'll tell you what, if Lasercorn, if you're listening to this, like, you know, let me know. Let's do a video or come on the podcast or something. We'll do a face by face comparison.
Face by face on our podcast.
Let's see, like. Or we'll post photos.
Yeah, we'll do a YouTube video.
But let's do a side by side.
Yeah,
and see what's going on here. See if maybe we have the same great grandfather or something.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be weird,
right?
You know,
years later.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that's what I got on our list right now.
Yeah, I think it's a solid.
We ranted about CES for a while.
Yeah. 3D printers. We'll do that from time to time.
And honestly, we'll talk about it as other stuff as well too. But you know, thanks guys out here for listening.
Shoot.
You know, this is our first episode, so we appreciate you taking the time to go through our entire ranting at the moment. We hope that you'll listen to us further. You know, go out there, check out our social media. You know. And do
you want to give a blast to your Twitter?
Oh yeah, dude. Well, if you just want to come find me on Twitter, I'm just Hydra_Lord. All right, Hydra_Lord. I'm also just on Facebook. It's my full name, Ivan Baron Van Norman with 2 R's. You know,
sweet.
And if you subscribe to that, I'll continue to post links until we can get everything set up for, you know, the Nerd Commies.
Yeah.
Here in
podcast, iTunes.
Yeah, exactly. Because hopefully you got this on iTunes, or you know, you just downloaded us directly off of a link. So, but yeah, guys, thanks a ton for hanging out and being part of the first episodes. You're part of the elite.
Woo, woo. All right.
All right, cool. We're signing off. My name's Ivan.
Co-host Kev.
Co-host Kev.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with co-host Kev or just Kev. I'm not
Kev.
sure.
I think co-host Kev's. I mean, it's whatever you feel cool with.
Yeah.
But we're the Nerd Commies signing out.